All right, hello everybody. Hope you had a good first week of May. And yes, it is the first week of May, May 8th to be exact. And a few things to talk about. Try to keep it as short as possible, but I'm on the upper Madison. I fished at $3 Bridge and spent quite a while up at Reynolds Pass. And as you can tell, the weather kept a lot of people home today. There were a few people out today, but it was just enough. You couldn't fish every spot, but I was able to hit a couple other spots. There's a couple angry geese because I'm too close, but oh well. Anyhow, so I ended up on the Madison because it went from the winter that never was to, as you can see, the winter that won't end. We didn't have a lot of snow this winter. It was looking pretty dire. A lot of snowpack was down in like the 75% range or even lower. And then in April, we got one big snowstorm that dropped 2 to 4 feet depending on where it was at. And then another storm followed that added a bit more. And a lot of the state, if you look at the snowpack map, turned green. So that means it's 90% or above. Not a lot is actually over 100. The very northwest corner is over 100, and the up along the Canadian border in the north is over 100. But everything else is in that middle 90% range, which is good. But then what happened in this last week was it was pretty nice. It didn't get really warm, but it was nice. It was sunny. The wind wasn't blowing. And then starting Thursday, another storm came in, and up high it left snow, but down low it rained. And so if you look at the USGS charts, all the freestones not quite doubled in size. Like the Gallatin went from 400 to 700 in about a day and a half. The river I was on last week, about the same, went like 450, 425, somewhere in there, to 650, 700. Every river that doesn't have a dam on it went way up. So that's basically like the first stage of runoff, is that first bump. Usually it happens with a warm-up, but this was because of rain. And what it does is makes those freestone rivers really muddy because there's a lot of dirt on the banks that hasn't been moved in a while. And so when that first rise comes up, they get really muddy. And then like the Gallatin, the Taylor Fork has a lot of really soft mud that gets pushed in. And so the Gallatin is just a chunk of mud today. And a lot of those freestones will get really off color. As I was driving up at Ennis, the Madison down there had some color to it because the West Fork of the Madison and a lot of the little creeks were pushing in some mud. So it was colored up down there, but as you came up river, it started to clear up. And then when you got to the turn where the West Madison comes in, you could see a very distinct line on the far side where the mud line was coming in and then just getting spread out as it went down the river. The lower Madison, I stopped and looked this morning. Cherry Creek was doing the same thing, and just a big chunk of mud coming in. The northwest side was staying pretty clear, even though it's a little green from the lake turnover at Ennis Lake. And so when this time of the year hits, really the only options are tailwaters, and the upper Madison is a tailwater because it has Hebgen Dam and Quake Lake, which is an earth dam. And then of course the Missouri and the Bighorn all stay pretty clear and fish well. Just the downside is that's where the fishing gets concentrated by everybody. So it's just something you have to deal with once runoff starts. But over the next couple weeks, the nice thing is it'll get cool overnight. The snowmelt slows down. You'll see the rivers drop overnight, and then as it warms up during the day, you'll see it come up again. As long as it doesn't rain, it'll kind of go through that cycle till about the third week of May. And once the mud clears out, then they're all pretty fishable. You just have to be a little careful wading because the water's up a little bit. It's when the temperature starts to warm up and stays warm, stays above freezing overnight, is when that snowmelt just keeps going, and then you'll see the rivers really take off. So the freestones are kind of hit and miss right now. So if the if it doesn't rain anymore, then they'll probably get fishable in a few days. But any rain will just go right into the river. Today's fishing, it started off a little slow. I was Euro nymphing. The Madison was at 600 CFS a couple weeks ago when I was here. Over the last week, they brought it up to 900 to kind of make room in Hebgen Lake for snowmelt. So there were spots that weren't fishable 2 weeks ago that again became fishable, but the fish weren't in big numbers down at $3 Bridge. And then plus it got a little windy, and the Euro nymphing got a little tough. Another nice rainbow. Sitting in that little soft break. Of course, my feet are now really stuck where I'm at, so do the best we can. Another one on the baetis.